So I made $100,000, 100K across all my trading accounts in 24 hours just now. And I'm going to show you guys proof. I'm going to talk about prop challenges, prop trading, how I'm approaching that, and I'm going to walk you over the trades. There are two trades, and I'm going to look at how I'm analyzing the chart now. So if you haven't clicked on a video in a while, welcome. I haven't been posting much because it's just been a terrible year of losing, but it's been necessary tuition to the market, and it's been a great year of learning. I've um, been humbled, and I've started to put a lot of things together. There's a couple things I want to credit. The first one is one, just stacking experience, trading more setups, recognizing patterns better. The second is really studying my own emotionalism, when I'm triggered with fear and how I tend to react, when I'm triggered with greed and euphoria, how I tend to react, when I'm triggered with frustration, how I tend to react. That's been really helpful. They say trading's 95% psychological. I find that to be true. Another thing that's been really helpful is getting a time locking device for my phone and also a time locking device for my computer, which really limits trading hours. And if I'm emotional and need to take off, helps with that, helps me get back to equilibrium, helps me make sure I get to sleep at a good hour so that I'm setting myself up for success. And then the last thing that has been really helpful has been switching to trading prop firms. Trading prop firms has been really helpful because it's just really helping me clean up my trading, but it's made me focus on the whole sample of trades and not an individual trade where one trade doesn't matter. I don't lose money if I lose one trade, so it takes a lot of stress out, but I can still win money if I win trades. And I can still lose money, but if it just has to be a number of trades. So let's talk about the 100,000. So first of all, here we are. I need trading data. First of all, the $100,000 is across 7 trading prop challenges, 7 or 8 prop challenges. Um, so it's not real money, but it's also not fake money exactly. Like these are phase ones and phase twos that I'm trading, but it is I really did risk $10,000 buying all these challenges. So it's somewhere in between real and fake money. So you can say, well, it's demo, it doesn't count. And you might be right, but I'm doing some crazy stuff, big things like passing a lot of challenges all at once, and yeah, it's working out pretty well. So we're gonna talk about prop trading. So these are the different challenges. I'm trading a bunch of challenges at once. These are the ones that have elapsed. I've passed 3. I've gotten 3 free retries, and I have 1 fail. So 75% win rate. When I saw that I'm likely to pass a good percentage of these, every time that I saw a good entry that I liked, but couldn't add it to a challenge because either I'm in between challenges or all my challenges are in positions, I would just start a new challenge. So I've just kept adding challenges. Again, yeah, I passed 75% of them. I passed my first phase 2, and I'll talk a little bit about my funded strategy. But I yeah, passed another. I've got another phase 2 waiting in the wings. I have one challenge that's less than 0.5% from passing. I have another challenge that is 1% from passing, 1.5%, and then I have 2 challenges that are 3% from passing, and then I have one challenge that is negative 1% from initial balance. So just to show you guys the proof, this one today. So it was 2 trades, right? So this was the close time was on both of these were on the 5th. This one I made $28,000 in about 12 hours. But there's 2 accounts here. I also had this one, where this one made about 12,000, and that was just enough to get a free retry on this one. I almost failed that one. This one, let's see how much I made from the 5th. these say the 4th, it was last night though, depending how they measure it. So all of these were in the last 24 hours. What is that? 25, 27, 23,000. And then I also have FTMO. There was two accounts on this one. This one made 15,000. Y'all do the math. I think it adds up to over 100,000 or roughly around somewhere around there. This one, 14,000 in a day, right? So, okay. Now, before we get to the trades, I want to look at a couple other things. So, first of all, the trades themselves, like I started off May kind of soft, but since May 11th, I'm trading with a 55% win rate with a 2.2 risk reward with a up 14 R. So that's super good, and that's why I'm passing all these. Um, yeah, so I'm trading pretty well. And despite that, I made a lot of mistakes in this period, but it's still enough to do well. Key is just getting back to equilibrium as fast as possible. So the way I'm approaching these challenges, I've only failed one, and it wasn't because I blew out or drew down. It's because I ran out of time. I was down about 5%. And then a couple of these free retries, I was in drawdown and I just got back to break even. So I haven't blown any accounts up. And if you look at the amount of trades that I'm taking in a month, last month I took like around 20 trades. This month we're 5 days in. I've only taken one trade. So I'm expecting to take like between 10 and 20 trades. If I'm taking between 10 and 20 trades, it doesn't make sense to risk 1% on a challenge. It makes sense to risk 1.5 or 2% on a challenge, depending on what it is. And if it's the last week, depending on the situation, it might make sense to risk a lot if I'm allowed to. Some of these challenges do not allow me to trade ETH with leverage, which is a problem. It makes it a lot harder. Or trade ETH. A lot of them don't let me trade Bitcoin with leverage either. Those are FTMO and TFT. Those ones are quite harder for me. TFF, True Forex Fund has been the easiest one. E8 gives me this horrible, inhumane slippage, like crazy bad slippage, a predatory slippage, but just giving me leverage makes it possible to pass. And then my Forex funds, yeah. So my plan, I'm just going to receive my first funded account, and my plan is a bit different from what other people have suggest about how to risk in terms of risk. So first of all, there's no reason for me to be attached to an account because it's taken me a bit of time to get, but it's not hard. I've got so many more accounts coming, so many more accounts waiting in the wings. If I just trade a bunch of accounts at once, like I'm gonna have so many accounts by the end of the year that pass. Especially if I can keep up passing 75%. Even if I pass 50%, I'll still have a ton of accounts by the end of the year. So it's not irreplaceable. It's really easy to replace an account. I'm not attached to it at all. The second thing is the whole point of having a funded account is so that when I lose, I'm risking someone else's money, not mine, right? So I don't want to risk my own money. What that means is, and what a lot of people suggest is risking small until you have a buffer and then risking more once you have that buffer. That doesn't make any sense to me in terms of trading a funded account. It makes sense if you're attached to the account and want to lose it. But the whole point for me is I'm fine blowing an account because if I blow account, I don't lose any money. That's the whole point. I have six-figure trading account anyways. I could already trade my own money. The whole point is if I lose, I want it to be someone else's money and not mine, right? So what that means is if I have a buffer and I get a withdrawal period, I'm withdrawing that buffer. I don't want to risk that buffer because it's my money, right? At what point, this whole time, I'm not risking my own money. At what point does it become my own money? Once it's eligible for withdrawal and it's in profit, right? So once I have a funded account and it's in profit, now I'm risking my own money. I don't really want to risk that, right? So, but I do want to risk drawdown. So instead, like I'm gonna risk more when I'm in drawdown. The whole point is to risk their money in drawdown. And if I blow the account, I don't care. I have more accounts coming. And this way, like, I'm gonna hit some big trades. And so far, like, I'm passing 75% of the time. And the 25% that I fail is from running out of time, not from blowing. So I'm not going to trade it more aggressive than the challenges. I'm going to trade it similarly aggressive, 1.5 to 2% risk, and expect that I'll get payout a lot of the time. Some of the times I'm going to blow the account, and I'm going to be happy when I blow an account because I didn't lose money, right? I might have lost my initial deposit, but like I didn't lose $20,000. Like again, I can trade my own money. So the whole point, the whole benefit is risking someone else's money. If I'm up, I want to withdraw. I don't want to risk a buffer. If I'm down, I want to risk more because it's not my money and I get to risk it, right? So that's my thought process going into challenges. That may change and mature as I actually have the experience, but that's my plan. I'm going to come in with this 200K and I'm going to risk $3,000 to $4,000 on the first trade. And if it's say a 3-4R, and I make 10,000 minus the 20%, I'll take that, and that will pay for all these challenges. Now everything's a free roll. Okay, so that's how I'm thinking about that. Now let's go analyze the trades, and we'll also kind of look at where the market is right now. But we'll go to the naked chart. So there was two trades. The first trade was on ETH last Thursday. I didn't realize the profit until today, or yesterday. So that's why I'm saying I realized all that both these trades in the same day. So the ETH long was actually I took a lot. Where was it? Okay, coming in, like I knew that if price pulled back here, I was interested in longs. We're on the 1 hour chart. Let's go to the daily chart. Let's make sure you guys can see what's going on here. Yeah, okay. So I'm not going to walk through the entire everything, but just look at a couple things. So we're on the daily. When we're pushing up here, I'm already thinking I want a long in this area. This is going to make a nice area for a long for ETH. Bitcoin wasn't as strong, which is why I was interested in ETH. And also, Bitcoin's weakness is why I was interested in a Bitcoin short later, which was the second trade. So I actually took, I think, one or two losses in here as price retraced more than I hoped. But here's where I became very interested in long again. Or was it the next one? Yeah, it was here. Bitcoin was doing something similar, but this green 1 hour high volume, like how many times did we sweep this level? I just want to see us sweep the previous day's low, right? But we had several sweeps. Um, Now this I ended up doing this on market order because I anticipated price to either come down here or to come up here. So I actually almost got stopped out of this. My long looked like as soon as this 1 hour gap formed, I was long in this gap with my stop roughly in here. And then originally my target was above here, maybe even as high as here. If we look at some higher time frame structure, like if we claim this high, there's a decent chance we would take this high too, based on market structure. But a lot of my targets were set to right here. So I have something like this. Price comes down. I took this as a huge position. Some of my accounts I had 3% risk on, and I'm planning on holding for longer. Um, I'm holding through this. Okay, this made me super wary because we just swept 2 days at the same time. Where did I get it? Yeah, this is where I got out. Okay, so Bitcoin did the same thing as well. I came in around the daily close, and it happened right. When did that happen? It happened at 3. Hang on, does it come back higher? No. Okay, the time's acting a little bit weird. I ended up selling right here. So I held through this. Yeah, that's right. Right around noon. Okay. Noon on Sunday. No, I made it back around 1 actually. So let's push it one more hour. No, man, I made it back. I got lucky in my time. Like I made it back early, I guess. So I came on right here and I saw, is my timing off? I feel like the time is not right. Because this doesn't seem like the right time. Yeah, when does the day open? What is opening? I gotta check what's going on with the time here. Okay, so it's saying the daily open is at 13. Okay, I guess so. I mean, that's not wrong. Anyways, the sweep happens. I saw that around 7 a.m. and I ignored it because Bitcoin hadn't done the same thing. We're gonna look at the Bitcoin chart next, but later Bitcoin did the same thing, and I guess I was lucky that I was back around this time, and I just closed my short here because I had expected higher, but this is definitely a close signal, and Bitcoin gave an even stronger close signal. Yeah, I was watching. Okay, it was around 1. Yeah, I made it back around 1, and thankfully I took action. So I closed this one. It was only around a 1.5, although it was with huge size. I risked about 3% on certain accounts, a couple accounts, so it was like 4.5% account growth. A couple of the accounts, you saw a lot of them was small. I only made like 1% on some of these accounts. Some of them I didn't risk a lot. Some of them I risked 1%, and yeah. So that was the first trade. Again, what I like about this trade, two things. The first thing is, um, in this first area, like I had to hold through a retracement and it was scary and I didn't do it. I didn't cut. And the second one was I wanted to hold for here because I was greedy and euphoric, but I sold, and I'm glad that I sold because um, obviously like it immediately dumped. Like I sold at the perfect time, right? So that was the first trade, and that was Sunday. So the next trade, which is on Bitcoin, it happened at the same time. So I was watching Bitcoin and ETH at the same time, and I was paying attention to, as soon as price dumped here and created this daily fair value gap, I was open to the possibility of this being a sell zone. And I knew there were liquidations down to 25,400 down here for weeks and months. Like it showed up on the chart for a really long time. As soon as we left these equal lows, I figured we would come back down here, and that's a move that I wanted to catch. That said, as I was in longs and I was long biased, I was expecting higher, but we rejected right at the 50 EMA. We swept these perfectly, and we poked into this daily fair value gap, which is a 4-hour fair value gap, which is a 100 1-hour fair value gap. So as soon as I sold out of my ETH long, I was like, this for sure looks like an amazing short on Bitcoin. So I jumped in short somewhere around here with a stop like this. And then the only thing that really made sense as a target was around 25,400, 25,300. Because just looking at the liquidation chart on HY block, like it didn't make sense to target nearer. So this is about an 8.1, something like that. So let's look at the 3-month. Right. So there was just nothing until here on any of the charts. So I figured buyers weren't going to step in and the liquidations weren't going to happen until at least here, 25,400. So I used that as my take profit, and we see how fast we got to my take profit. I woke up and we're already there. So yeah, it was an 8R, and that's those were the two trades. But with this one, say it was 2% risk, and it's an 8R, that would be a 16% gain. So I didn't actually risk that much with this one. Wish I had risked more. I risked as much as I could on some of the FTMO accounts, but since I cannot leverage, I couldn't risk more than 0.8%. Some of these accounts I risked a little bit more, but yeah, I wish I had risked a little bit more. The only one I could have risked more than it mattered would have been the E8 one. So um, that's that. Yeah, that was the trade. So now I'm interested in um, the current chart setup and looking at where we might go next. So I'm definitely long biased now. Why? Well, just because there's so much forced selling and there's potentially more forced selling. I haven't entered long yet. I'm sort of waiting. Um, Looks like we're possibly finding support at the 200 EMA. Is that my phone? No. So the 200 EMA is something that I'm paying attention to, both on Bitcoin and ETH. Um, Although ETH has been very strong relatively, but I'm more interested in longing Bitcoin because there's been more liquidations cleared, and it's a cleaner chart. I'm just more comfortable trading it. So, oh yeah, a couple other things I wanted to point out that helped with both of these trades is I'm paying attention to volume on the lower time frame. And if you look at the little top wick here, it was huge volume. And I knew that when price came up here and rejected, it meant that breakout traders lost, um, stops were run, and there was a lot of both take profit and limit sellers waiting in here to take price lower. Something that helped this trade was the news coming out that Binance was being sued, but this trade might not have worked as well, or might not have made it all the way to target otherwise. But yeah, I mean, this is how you trade news without knowing what the news is knowing where the liquidations are. So now we're gonna kind of analyze where we are currently. So again, I'm looking for longs. The most interesting shorts would be the 50 EMA, this daily fair value gap, and then 28,100 has been a hot spot on the chart. So those are possible shorts. With ETH, it could be, we could take the liquidity here, possibly, it's possible. But this large daily fair value gap above us also that is going to form could also be a resistance zone, especially if we go lower. That could be the top of the next rally. Like one of the reasons I've been doing better is because we've been in a bearish environment, and um, I seem to do better in a bearish environment. I seem to do better with shorts. So this was created, rally, fail. This is created, rally, fail. Same thing with Bitcoin. So where price is currently, especially if we have trade sideways, or maybe we push up a little bit and trade down, then like this, that could become a possible rally top and sell. That's something I'm paying attention to, but I'm not ready to sell yet. Um, Paying attention to trend lines. That was also a trend line rejection. There's just so many reasons why that was good. Let's see where the most significant trend line is something like this. It's still a ways lower. Although obviously we broke some trend line support there. Well, let's talk about possible longs for both of them. Yeah. So, but I'm only interested in in longs right now. ETH I might actually be interested in shorts, and I'm gonna show you why. It's a little bit weird. Um, Here's the daily on ETH BTC has been in a steady uptrend. I've typically been longing ETH and shorting Bitcoin this month in the last month, but I feel like it's time for a Bitcoin long just based on liquidation. So let's look at liquidity starting with Bitcoin. So the 7 day, we're seeing 28,100 is a hot spot over the local high 27,500 is a hot spot. So we wouldn't try to target higher than this most likely. And then there's a hot spot at 24,400 for another possible long entry. So let's look at that 24,000, 24,000 for, I don't know why it is, but it is 24,400. It's in this order block right here. I guess maybe people are still holding from, I don't know what it is, but, or maybe the current longs that entered. So 24,400, let's look if there's a gap on a lower time frame maybe. I'm not seeing it, so I'm not probably that interested in trading it, but it's something to pay attention to and something that I could trade if price reacts there. So that's one idea. Why am I not long already? So that's something I'm going to talk about too. 1 month suggests there's liquidations down to about 24,000. Right down here. I mean, I would trade under 23,800. That would be quite interesting if we could make it down there. There's liquidations down at 21,600. Right underneath this. And then obviously ultimately under there. But that's far away. So let's look at the 3 month. Now we started it, but we didn't necessarily clear it, right? Like we hit one thing, and I don't expect to hit more than one target at once necessarily, but we do need to be wary of more downside all the way down to 21,600, right? Like it's possible it could happen. So we always trade with a stop loss because you don't want to be on the wrong side of that. Also in the 6 month, again, we cleared something, but you can see that there's a lot at 24.3, there's more at 22.5. There's more targets down there, and there's reasons to go long lower too. We go to a higher time frame here, yearly. Okay, now let's go look at ETH. Starting on the 7 day, working our way up. On ETH, we have target over this high to 1930. Yeah, above these highs would be our target, a main target. We have a lot of untapped liquidity as traders were able to advance their stops and stay in the trade. People who are short up here survived, and they probably took profit down here, but I bet you, like, my ETH short, I'm really aiming for down here at 1677 and also 1724. But yeah, there could be a possible long. I'm going to explain why I'm not long yet. Well, the first reason that I'm long is because making so much money in my accounts, I was experiencing euphoria and I wanted to go flat, log off, just not do something dumb and rush in and lose. So I just have tried to stay out of trades today and went and did some other thing, like did some errands that needed to be done. So one of the reasons I don't want to long ETH yet is also because it didn't hit major liquidations yet. At least according to HY Block Capital, maybe it's not that accurate. Um, but it just doesn't feel as safe. Like it looks like we didn't hit them yet, right? There's probably forced selling, but not to the extent of Bitcoin, and I want to be on the other side of forced selling. So ETH looks like it might want to go to the 1600s, which again is where I'm interested in buying in this region. 1674 to 1685 is what I had in mind, which is, yeah, looks like a good place to be on the other side of forced selling. So um, how far are we from there? 7%. I don't really feel the need to set a limit order on this yet, but that's the idea that I like and have liked. Is 16, about 1670 down here. Yeah. Now, this is why I don't necessarily want a long just inside that. Like, Bitcoin feels like a better long to me. 6 month look, ETH didn't, according to HY block, hit anything significant, and then it's below us down to 1680, 1650. So, yeah, maybe I'll log on and put some orders down here at 1680, that kind of area. 1675 maybe. Yeah, I kind of want to do that now that I'm seeing it. Yeah, around 1660. Now we could go higher. I don't expect this to fill, but it's something that could possibly happen. And then my stop, all the way down to maybe 1600 would be good. I can't run it that wide. Let's see what makes sense. Yeah, 1620, 1630 could be okay. Maybe something like this. Okay, so let's look at the current chart. So there's a world where I could just be long right now, and there's for sure a possibility that we just rocket higher and I miss it, and um, I'm gonna live with that. So the way we're set up, I really want to trade in here. I think it's a lot better if we can get it, and there's a lot of reasons. So the first reason is that we have a daily fair value gap in here. And actually, the first reason is that we have a daily low now. So we have a daily fair value gap below a daily low. That daily fair value gap is also a 12-hour fair value gap, an 8-hour fair value gap, a 6-hour fair value gap, a 4-hour fair value gap, a 3-hour fair value gap, a 2-hour fair value gap, a 1-hour fair value gap, a 5-minute fair value gap. Well, it doesn't go back. So price doesn't need to come here, but if it does, it is going to be bought up. Now, another reason why I'm choosing to do this rather than market entering, and again, I might miss it, is because this is my daily exhaustion setup, which is, it doesn't always work, but it's one of my favorite setups, and it's one of my best setups. And the way that that works is when you have a monster liquidation candle that hits a major target, those are the two criteria. So we have monster liquidation candle hit a major target, and we close beyond that target, then I would plan on the new low or the new high being swept one time before reversal. And I would tend to put my limit order about 0.5% below the low, and with my stop loss 2% beyond that. A lot of the times, this is what a top looks like, or like it could be. This would be an example of one. This would be another example of one. This one came a couple days later, but is an example of one. This is an example of one. Another example. This one might not have filled, but was a tradable bounce. This one this one didn't work. So it doesn't always work, but it's one of my best setups, and it rarely comes up. So I'm gonna try to trade it. Now, I could trade like this too. I'm like, okay, well, let's just do this. And I just don't want to do it. I want to wait. I want to wait for my A1 setup. Um, if it doesn't fill, it doesn't fill, and I can wait for some other trade. I could also long in here into this retracement, and I could run my stop super wide, but I also don't want to do that because it would mean running like an absurdly wide stop, and then it could still be a decent trade, but I always expect to close earlier before target before I want to, and if I'm aiming all the way up here, like, I don't like it. So I don't want this because I don't want to take back-to-back losses and wake up to 2 losses. So I'd rather do this, and if I don't get filled, runs without me, I will wait a couple days for price to come back, or I'll look for other setups in the meantime. Um, I will also, if price takes this low but just doesn't quite fill me, then I'm gonna either market enter or raise my limit entry, and then put my stop probably behind that. So, um, yeah, I do expect higher, and I'm looking for longs, but I prefer to wait. ETH, ETH is maybe safer. It reacted better, and it's still continuing higher, but it's for sure tempting. Like, so I have the high time frame idea on ETH, but what ETH hasn't done is created a 1 hour fair value gap. So that would be my other entry, is like has some actual expansion here, and then maybe a daily low, and then I could enter like later. But I'm okay just waiting. The only thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this long from all the way down here, which I don't expect to fill or to fill anytime soon, but it might. So yeah, that's the game plan. Much love and happy trading. Peace.